So I'm very excited about today's conversation. We are going to break down our life experience, right? There is a lot of entrepreneurs and people that I'm speaking with, working with to some degree. And what comes back to me again and again is people really trying hard to change their reality. If it's they're trying to lose weight, find relationship, do better in business, but my sense and what I'm getting for them that they are fighting reality instead of looking inward and trying to understand what reality is trying to show them, what part of themselves that they are holding into that keep repeating the same life experiences. And today's conversation, we're going to explore what our life experience is made of. And I'm so happy and I'm excited to have Miki with me this morning. Thank you very much for joining me. I couldn't think about somebody else, somebody better that I can have this conversation with and really starting to break down our life experience to see what it made of to, and hopefully to give people some insight, something that they can take home or something that they can start practicing today to start having more of our understanding of what's happening in their life and why they're having the struggle. And hopefully at the end of the call, they're going to see that the struggle is happening for them and not to them. So Miki is the founder of Mana Training. And Miki, why don't I'll let you speak about Mana Training a little bit and then we'll jump into it.
Yes, Mana is a entity that helps us to understand the reality and the way we experience reality. And it teaches us that we are constantly changing the realities by shifting our minds and shifting our vibration or dimension. So it explains that we experiencing our reality through a state that we are at in specific dimension, in specific vibration. Not all we're doing is just changing. So it helps us to learn how we can change from one point of awareness to another, so we can experience a different and better feeling reality. It also teaches us how we can navigate from anywhere to higher dimensions outside of the body, and also teaches us what's different on those higher dimensions that outside of the body. And so really is a beautiful tool to experience reality and understand more efficiently how reality is working from your point of awareness without giving a power to external reality.
So there's a lot of words to explain what Mana Training is, but what I like to do is bring it into our day-to-day life experience and break it down for people. I think that will be very helpful, right? And I gave example in the beginning that a lot of the people that I know or work with to some degree are, as I said, they're trying very hard to achieve something in their life, right? If it's financial success, losing weight, relationship, and on and on and on. But they keep trying and they keep hitting the same wall again and again. And they trying in a different way, and they're reading another book, and they're going to do another seminars, and they're doing all the work that they can do, but some reason they keep hitting the same wall, right? And this is where we talked about the thoughts and thought pattern, the emotional DNA, and bring some awareness to it. So how would you, so if somebody will approach you, for example, and saying, look, I'm trying to build this company, or I'm trying to find the love of my life, and I'm keep hitting my head in the wall again and again and again. How would you approach it? Like, how would you work with somebody that going through the same thing again and again?
Great question. My first impulse is to point out that at understanding how reality works before anything else, and I'm usually pointing out my my way of understanding reality and how has it helped me. And it's really the only is you also speak from the same place of personal experience. So I can only know how I experience reality, and let somebody use the same tools and see if it works for them. So the reality, the way I understand the reality works is that our body cannot create new reality. Our body and DNA responsibility is to create and stabilize. That's it. So in that point of awareness, and if you would like, we can go a little bit deeper to understand it. Would you like?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so again, what is the question that we're trying to answer?
So we said if somebody will approach you, right, for mana training, and he's experiencing the same reality again and again. So he's trying to, build a business, trying to find a relationship, trying to get healthier, whatever it is, and he's trying everything, right? He's going to another seminar, reads another book, but he keep hitting the wall. Is hitting the wall again and again. Like it cannot make changes. He feels that he's getting up there a little bit, but then being pulled exactly to the same situation.
Yeah.
Say that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for connecting the energy again. So reality, how is it working from my point of awareness, so we can understand why the body can only recreate reality and not create something new. The body is always, if we pay attention to what the body is trying to do, really, and what the mind is telling us all the time with the thoughts, if we try to understand each thought that come to our awareness, we'll learn that all the body is trying to do is to feel the same way that you've been feeling the moment ago. So you can not use any energy. You don't need to use any energy, not mental energy, not physical energy, and stay in rest and safety. Anything that takes off the balance of the same status quo of the body and the mind will be translated to alert of the mind and thoughts and emotions and uncomfortable sensation in the body. Of course, these observation of how the body feels are not obvious in the beginning, so some sort of training needed or wanted to practice the awareness of how the body feels, from not just when the feeling is very obvious, right before, as soon as possible. As soon as it comes as a thought, or if you didn't catch it by the thought, you can catch it by the emotion. If the emotion, if you couldn't catch it by the emotion, you can catch it by the feeling. And then if you didn't catch it by the feeling, then you can catch it by the manifestation of law of attraction of the physical reality that will come. Yeah. So the body has never created something new. The mind never created something new. So for that, as you keep the same patterns of thoughts and same thoughts of emotions, so the body's job is to recreate the same reality over and over till you actually break those patterns. So by explaining that to the trainee that comes and would like to practice this new awareness, this is the bridge that usually helps.
Got it. So what I'm hearing for you, if somebody's trying to make changes in his life, he needs first to understand that his body and the thoughts that keep coming up will always try to recreate the past, because that's what keep us more comfortable, and it's also we preserve a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Right. So if we are trying to create something new in our life, but we are not paying attention to what our body is trying, what the experience of the body or the thoughts that are coming up, catching them at the point of sensation or feeling, or actually paying attention to the reality that gets back to us, we're really missing a point. We're kind of trying to skip a step and not really understanding that the body and our mind, the limited mind, will keep recreating the same thing.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was able to explain. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first part. So let's say I'm trying to, and also in my own experience, right? I'm part of my not my first step, but as I went through my process, I start paying attention to the thoughts that are keep coming up. And what I recognize that most of the thoughts that came up is the thoughts of yesterday, and they have zero relationship to what's happening in front of me. So how would you explain somebody, right? And we talked about it a few times or many times in the past, that in a way our ego, our the thoughts that keep coming up all the time are really have zero relationship to the reality in front of us. Yeah. So how would you break that to somebody? How would you help somebody see it?
That the thoughts have zero relationship to the outside reality.
Yeah, basically that's what we're saying, right? If the thoughts are from the thoughts of yesterday and they keep coming up today, there is a brand new reality in front of me today, but it's being covered by the thoughts of yesterday.
So the thoughts will be the patterns of if you imagine 3D printer and you have the needle that goes in the patterns to print something. So if this needle have patterns like same thoughts, the same printing will be printed every day.
Right. That's a nice way to, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So and then if you stuck in a reality that you same reality that you would like to change, all it needed is to change these patterns of the thoughts. So the thoughts are really relevant to the reality creation, because you create with your thoughts by experiencing the thought and accepting it. There is a process of that happening that you can be aware of the thoughts, but you can still not accepting it. You kind of didn't take it and swallowed it, if I may say.
Yeah.
So at that point, if you can be just aware of it, it doesn't mean that you accepted it, because you can slow down at this point that you're experiencing a thought that you know that is not a pleasing thought. You know it's the same thought that you was thinking yesterday, and it's related to a subject that really matters in your personal life. So if you can stretch this moment for a little bit and sit down with it and recognize the thought that's coming and just accept that, oh, this is just a thought. It's not, I don't have to accept that it is really how it is. And then wait for your vibration to change and see the exact point from a different vibration point where you feel better in your body. Then you can give different interpretation to the situation and change the reality that will unfold from it, because you still didn't. It's like you know the game of the drawing game of connecting the dots. We spoke about it.
Yeah.
Dots, and then you connect the kids 1, 2, 3 and follow that. So imagine it's like you see something within the situation and you only see 1 or 2 or 3 thoughts. So you have 3 thoughts, and then the mind trying to accept something because you don't want to walk too much. You would like to feel safe. You don't want to stay in the unknown. So at this point of a process of the mind is trying to accept the reality as soon as it's possible, because it's like, okay, let's go. I already been here, done it. I wanna fast forward. I accepting it. This is what's happened. This is the thought. This is how it's gonna be. This is how the reality is, and we can give an example about it. And do you wanna give example from the world of business?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Just whatever comes up.
Okay, so let's say that the business owner trying to find a product for a very long time to sell, and he's sourcing a product because he know that he needs to renew himself with the different products, and every day is waking up in the morning and approaching the suppliers, and you see like something not matching. The prices is not there. The supplier the terms are too complicated, or the minimum order is too big. Especially given an example from the business world. And that's what he's doing. He's approaching every day and cannot find anything. It means he's stuck in a reality, in the same reality over and over. Now, the next email that he will send, if he remembers the same history of all the emails that he sent, and he sent it with this information. He is writing the email when the same intentions, with the memory of what's happened the day before and the day before. Most likely, he will attract the same result to him, because that's active within his thoughts. So the law of attraction will bring the same reality. So there's something that you want to change in a pattern of the thoughts. So unless you change it, it will not. It will create the same reality, most likely, unless something obvious different will come and it will help to break a pattern of the belief that it's a problem to find new product.
Right.
It's a challenge to find new product.
Right. So there is two parts for me when I'm hearing you. First of all is creating that gap, right? So people that are, trying hard, but they're trying through reading another book, doing another seminar, and on and on and on. Now we're telling them, hold on, your body and your mind will keep trying to reproduce yesterday. So even though you're going through some excitement time where you get some insight, be aware that your body and your mind is going to try to pull you back to the way you were. And what we're telling them is, okay, there's just try to pay attention to your thoughts. So there is now a gap between I can pay attention to my thoughts. I don't need to get lost in my thoughts.
Yes.
Right. How would you suggest somebody that, as I just described, how would we start paying attention to our thoughts? And because we're going from getting lost in our thoughts, right? Because until today, until I heard Miki, I thought that my thought, it is what it is, black and white, this is what I'm going to do. Now we're saying, hold on, you can change things. But the change starts by you recognizing that the body and the mind keep repeating yesterday. So It now needs to be a gap, a kind of space for me to say, okay, I'm not going to get lost. I'm going to stay here for a second. Maybe I'm going to change my vibration. I'm going to change the way I'm holding myself or feeling. And then I'm going to reapproach it and try to see if there's a new thoughts that coming up. Yeah?
Yes. And if I can help to break it down to two options, because both of them right. The thoughts, you can overcome the thoughts because there is a new way of living life as a new humanity. And this is the way that you and I have spoken. It's more advanced understanding of the reality and practicing reality. And it's really how to unlock the mind, go beyond the mind, beyond the thoughts, straight to the collective, and get the updates from there and know how to work with it when you're coming back to the in-body work.
Yeah.
What you and I are talking about in this conversation is how the reality works and how the thoughts create in the reality. So there is the physical reality is still created from the physical body and mind by the mind, and we explain how it works. How to change it? There are two ways. One, to do it yourself, and the other one, connect to the Wi-Fi and practice this connection that will change your coding of the DNA and your emotions and your pattern of thoughts and everything that needed according to the highest update available for the collective. So I will. So for the if I would work on a way that we changing it manually, so what I would recommend is how I help build a bridge in the moment of the situation to a person is to build the bridge by explaining that if you just observe it and just allow yourself to prove that the reality works the next way. As soon as the thought coming in, you recognize it and you don't believe it. You just don't believe it. You wait till your vibration is changed, meaning you're more joyful, you're much more fun. And then you look at the same situation and see that it's two different realities, completely two different realities. This way you break the chain of understanding how the reality really works, because it is all within you. I can give an example from the intimacy world for men. When we're there and we feel the pressure in the intimate organs, we're a different person. Whatever you believe right there, it's not what you're going to believe as soon as the pressure released and you raise your vibration to a different point of awareness.
Right.
So then all the stories that you said when you was ready there, all the promises that you can make when you're there, all of a sudden start existing. In the same way the reality works when you're in different point of awareness. We're just not aware of it.
Right. Okay. So great example. So paying attention to my emotional being when I'm trying to understand what's happening to me makes a huge difference. Right. So I had a great conversation with the entrepreneur a few months ago. So he called me and he says, "Listen, Idan, I'm having a hard time. My employees are very unhappy. I mean, I cannot keep them around for more than 3-4 months, and it's a mess. I don't know. I'm trying to build a business. I'm keep getting stuck again and again and again." And now I know that he's producing the reality when I'm talking to him, right? So for me, I'm trying to find what is it in him that keep creating that reality that he's experiencing. Mm-hmm. And I told him, you know what, just describe your day from the moment that you wake up. And he's like, Idan, this is not connected to my business. It's just the morning. I'm not in the office. Okay, just play with me. What do you do from the moment that you wake up? So he walks me through nothing he does since from the moment he wake up to the moment that he gets to the office to kind of bring himself up. None of it is there, right? Completely ignoring from how he's feeling. He gets to the office, and what he likes to do, he likes to point out what's not good, right? So what his team is missing up, is the van is not clean enough, is the secretary missed something. So he keep pointing out everything that is not good. So as he's telling me the story, and I just ask him one question. So you walk into the office every day and you're pointing out what is not good, and then you're upset that your team is upset most of the day, or they don't want to stay as part of the company, right? And he's holding his head. He's like, okay, now I understand, right? So if more people, and this is what I'm trying to get to what you just said, right? You gave a great example with the intimacy part, is if you raise your vibration, right? Listening to the song that you love, doing meditation, going on a run, going to the gym, whatever makes you all excited, your reality, the way you experience your reality will shift. Yeah.
Totally.
Right. So number one, right, as we're breaking it down, is to bring more awareness to your emotional being, have a huge importance in your ability to make changes in your life.
Yes.
That's one.
And I would rephrase it with the way Mana guiding is that all it matters in your experience is your experience. So the reality is really the experience. So for that, it's not about what's in the reality, it's about how you experience, and your experience tied to the vibration. So when you, so this is exactly the same what you said, just in more technical way. It's not the game of changing something or what you're doing. It's about how you experience in that, and then how you interpret it, and then the experience changing your vibration so you can attract better vibration realities.
Right. So for that person that trying to make changes in his life and he works hard and try hard and but not paying attention to the way he's carrying himself, right? If the, the level of vibration, where is he, right? In the vibration, if he's not open enough, expanded enough, is going to keep creating the past again and again. Doesn't matter how hard he's working to trying to change it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that, yeah.
Theoretically, but we know that the reality always changing because there is a force that always helps to grow. So it never actually stay the same.
Yeah.
It grows. So even if a person that not changing anything, the life force, the natural life force will eventually be much stronger than the resistance of the person that experiencing the reality.
Yeah.
And will must change. It's a law of this universe.
That's beautiful. So for people that are trying hard and things are getting harder for them, in a way, is life force, as you just described, saying, listen, I'm giving you nice touches for you to change and evolve, but you're still holding to it. So at one point, I'm going to have to slap you in the face, right? To make sure that we shake up everything. So this is why sometimes people are trying, but things keep happening in their life, but it's really happening for them. It's not happening to them, right?
Yes.
It's to break away these areas that they're holding. Is in a way the universe is telling you, look, I'm trying to help you release this pattern that you keep holding, and I'm being nice about it. But at one point is I'm going to have to slap you. Yes. Because we both know that you are here to evolve.
Yes. Yeah. And we can even break it down for the listeners and the audience and break the chain, because really it's, let's say, the first awareness of your physical awareness is a thought. You didn't catch the thought, you will catch it by the emotion.
Yeah.
You didn't catch it by the emotion, you will catch it in the feeling and the sensation in the body. You didn't catch it there, it will manifest in your physical appearance. It's always there for you, and this is only what's happening. So if we're trying to push something in our reality, we're actually pushing our growth.
Okay.
And then if you go to this pattern of chain, the chain of how things actually happen in the reality, and you give it just a practice, and this is mana training saying, like, if you hold it for as long as you can, even 10 minutes, 20 minutes, you hold it, and you see that you can pay attention to the first awareness, either emotion, feeling, or thought. If you can catch it there and resolve it there, you don't need to wait for the physical manifestation to happen. You break it right there. And once you break it once, you would not longer try to change something from within the reality. All you're gonna do is sit and catch, oh, I have a thought, I'm gonna change it. I don't want it to manifest in my reality. And this is how you change the pattern of the thoughts, by catching it earlier and not wait for the physical manifestation.
Yeah.
But we are talking about many beings in the awareness that already have lots of things that going on in their reality. And sometimes it can be overwhelming to sit with the thoughts and catch it by the thoughts and not deal with the situation outside.
Yeah.
The first advice that I would give them is, whatever you can not react on the outside, do not react, because it's a pendulum that's already swinging from before. And if you can let the pendulum slowly slow down without you engaging with it, without you giving it any focus, and you do sit with your thoughts that already creating the same reality and swinging the pendulums, I would say focus on that and not on the dealing with the situation if you don't have to. If it's actually coming to a point that you have to deal with it, it means that this is the path of least resistance, and it's harder. And if you think about the two options, should I deal with it or should I wait and hold? It will be whichever is easier. If it's easier to not go and deal with it, do it. But if you do it and it's all of a sudden not the right choice, if it's not the choice that feels good, then you shift back, because it will feel what is the resistance. Eventually you would feel the resistance towards what you're resisting, and the goal is to really understand what you're resisting to and face with it.
Yeah. So even now when I'm hearing you, it's we're being offered the easiest way forward, right? This is how it's designed. So it's actually making our life much easier into creating basically what we want to create. We'll call it for this conversation, right?
Yeah.
So it's even easier than before.
Yeah.
The part is that I'm thinking now a lot of the conversation that I had with many entrepreneurs is, no, but we need to do something. No, we have to take an action. And my thing is, you can chillax for a second, because if you're going to keep taking the same action, you're going to keep recreating this thing that you're trying to change, right? So I love the way you put it is, hold for a second, if you can, and then choose the action that are more aligned and feel more joyful for you moving forward.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not even the hard part of taking a different action, because now we start following, we've been more proactive and listening to ourselves and kind of following our joy in a way. Right. So the hard part is really getting out of this conditioned taking action based on my previous thought pattern.
Yes.
That's the special moment here.
Yes. You want to recognize this moment that you catch yourself thinking something that you've been thinking and you all of a sudden understand that it's not you, and you can draw a different reality with it.
Okay. So some of the people, when I bring that as an example, they says, but I'm thinking about that I need to go to Home Depot. I'm thinking that I need to go to the bank. I'm thinking that I need to do that. What's wrong with my thoughts? Like, how can I ignore that thoughts? Right. So yeah, go ahead. I see that you have something to.
Yes, it's coming because this conversation happened before our conversation on the level, and I'm aware of the answer coming to this question. So ask it again, or
yeah. So that's when I'm telling. When we're having this conversation with people that are new to paying attention to their thoughts, it's like, but Idan, I have a thoughts about going to the store. Do you want me to ignore it? Or I have thoughts about that I need to go to the bank. Why do I need to ignore it?
Mm-hmm.
So my thing, and that's where I'm trying to get into the emotional DNA, is when I just look at one thought at a time. First of all, we establish that number one is pay attention to your thoughts. Don't get lost into them. Now I have one thought that I need to go to the bank. What's wrong with that thought? There's nothing really wrong with anything. There's not good or wrong with any of it, right? But the magic starts when you start paying attention to more thoughts, and then you start seeing patterns of thoughts, right? So maybe the thoughts are different, but the reason behind the thoughts is the same. So I'll give example even from my own experience in the past. Is every time that I used to walk into a room with with people that I don't know or not that close with, immediately I had these thoughts of, oh, this is not the people that I'm going to have fun with. I'm not sure I want to be here. Why are they really want me to be here? Did I get invited? Right? So different thoughts, different time. But what I start noticing is that every time that I walk into a room with people that I don't really know, maybe different stories, but the thoughts start to come up. So that helped me to recognize a pattern, right? So just from looking at one thought, I start looking at different thoughts. And when I start putting the thoughts together, I says, okay, I understand that every time that I walked into a room, I have the same pattern of thoughts that are coming up. And from this pattern, I start looking, okay, so what is underneath that patterns of thoughts? And this is where I got to the emotional DNA.
Beautiful.
A deep emotion, most of the time it's unconscious. So that's why we need the thought pattern to find it. But when I recognize the emotional patterns that give birth to these patterns of thoughts, most of the time, just by seeing it, the thing got transformed, released.
Yes.
Right? That's from, yeah.
Yes, and it's beautiful the way that you explain it and how you did it. And now I can tie it to something else, how the reality works really, and explain why is it working this way. So when you did all this process of watching the pattern of thoughts and recognizing it, by recognizing it, you already made preferences towards it. You recognize that it's not something that you would like to experience, even if you're not aware of it. You always have a preference toward something. At this point of awareness, as soon as you're aware of something, the birth of preference born at the same moment.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
So now, when you experience that and you did it, and then the higher self recognizes it, because now you're aware of the thoughts, you're not their thoughts, and you are much bigger than just this body. So it's finding a way to recode it and change it. And then you, as Igan, very connected, and sharing and finding yourself lots of times out of the body awareness and experience the oneness. You share the code with the collective. So now the next person, let's say you coded something because it was a unique situation, and you, through your body, through your experience, you will be able to overcome and change this pattern and change this 3D printer template. We'll say you changed it, you shared it. Now anyone that will connect to the Wi-Fi and say I'm recognizing the same pattern, automatically will get the code, so they don't need to.
Yeah. Okay.
So for that, as soon as you observe something, as soon as you're aware of something, and the preference bond, you kind of asking the collective, I need a new download. But when you within the thought, when you confuse yourself with the thought, you don't want to change yourself.
Right. You just keep repeating.
Yes. So then you really it's your free choice either to share it with the Wi-Fi, and then also if you share your coding with the Wi-Fi, you share with the Wi-Fi anyways. But if you let the Wi-Fi know, because this is the free choice that we have to keep our personal reality private, we have a choice. Either we aware of it, or we're just gonna be confused that it stays within here, and we're not gonna admit what we experience. So it's our choice. And then if we choose to share it, then all the downloads for the preference point will be downloaded, and also everything that you build overcame will be shared with the collective, and that's how the flows happen.
Got it. Okay, so we're going back. So if I break down what you just said, right, and I'll kind of, I like to break it down so it's simple, so I can also take it and use it. So as we said, as we've been saying, the most important thing is to recognize it.
Yes.
And not to be lost in the thoughts and the thought patterns. Once you recognize it, I love what you just said. At the same time, you really have another preference. You're saying, okay, I'm keep experiencing that reality. I'm recognizing that it's because of my thoughts and the thought pattern. It's not because what actually happening in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to experience something else. So now you are aware of your thoughts. you're aware that you're really asking to experience something else. If you being open about it and you share it, right, with the collective, or even just share it, you're releasing it and you give space for something new to come in.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I add something? So by recognizing it and looking at the situation, let's say, oh, I have judgmental thoughts. Okay. And when you recognize in the preference born by observing it, and you say, oh, I don't like to be judgmental, I recognize and I don't like to be judgmental, automatically your mind created a container for the next reality to unfold that include your preference.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Now, at this point, the question is, where is your focus? Is your focus is what's here or in your container? If your focus is on what's here, so you recreate the reality. If you focus on what you just opened for the next container, by recognizing that you don't want judgmental toys, you actually did a good thing. You actually created a vessel for the next reality to unfold when things are different. So if you not judge yourself and you look, oh my God, it was a great opportunity for me to change my reality, and you look this way, you anticipate this grows and become better. It's all about what you focusing on at the same point, but this is the process.
Right.
By simply recognizing it, the preference point that was born at the moment of the thought that you're aware of, it's already here. You created it. And this is the natural pool of all the realities that you created from the preferences that you lived through. This is the pool that we feel right now in the humanity, because so many preferences collected, and not really all of us, or none of us, still don't know how to operate this vehicle and the realities, and we're thinking that we need to change something, but we have a force that pulling us for all these preferences that we made through our life experience, that pulling us towards it, and the mind cannot understand how we're going to get there, so we're trying to think, what is my control? How can I change it to get there? This is what's really happening when somebody's stuck in the reality. He feels that he can feel the reality that he already moved into, but he don't understand how to get there. He already created the reality, created already. He just don't understand how to get there.
Okay. That's all. Okay, we have a lot to unpack here.
Yes. I'm sorry, but I felt impulse to share it, and then we can unpack it.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And yeah. So we said something before about allowing, right? So there is the allowance for a new experience to unfold. That's one. We said that as we all the past, in a way, if we keep focusing on what is right in front of us the same way, we are recreating. So we're not allowing to something new to give birth. And we talked also about our focus.
Yes.
Right? When we go back to going back to the process, I'm recognize it. I'm seeing the thoughts. I'm seeing the pattern. I'm stepping away from it. At the moment that I'm stepping away from it, I'm creating, and I'm saying, I want to create a new experience. I'm tired of that experience, right? Then there is a moment. Okay, I'm going to add one more thing to the middle. We know that our ego, our mind, can only keep recycling what is already known, right? So that's a big one.
Yes.
Because if I'm going to say, I'm tired of experiencing this way, I want something else, but I'm going to keep trying to force it with the same mind, the same way of thinking that created the previous one, I'm probably going to create the same thing, or maybe something that is a little bit better than the way it used to be, right? Because with our mind, it can only recycle what you already have in it. That's where the allowance part come in, right? Because what we said before, that the universe, the higher power, is one shift, is taking all the new perspective, is taking all the new thing, and you want to give it birth through all of us, right? So there's the allowance, there is the faith, the trust of the higher power is going to present something that is much better, that I couldn't even think about it by myself, right? And that's also a hard point, because first of all, I need to have a gap between me and my thoughts. Then I need to recognize the pattern and see what's going on. And now at that moment, how are we helping people, or kind of from our experience, having the faith and says, okay, I recognize that with my own mind, with my own thought pattern, I'm probably going to create the same or create something that is a little bit better. Now when I'm seeing it, when I have clarity on what my thought pattern can create, now I need more faith here, right? I need to be, okay, I'm trusting the higher power to give birth to something new through me, because I don't want to keep living the same life that I've been living all the past 30 something years, right? So how would we, and I think we both know, right, that many times this higher power will not going to give birth to exactly what we thought that we want, right? So that's also another part here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So at that point in mana training, I'm saying there is nothing for you to figure out. What we just talk about, we talk to recognize how the reality works, and this is how it works, but nothing needed from you, because as we already program it collectively, and this is why we have access to this information, how the reality works, and we can try to see that it's really how it works. There's nothing really needed. So when you say how we help beings, how we help people to follow these steps, they don't need to. The only thing is to understand how the reality works and allow it to show up this way versus reacting to it, because everything that you're reacting to is already it's already the manifested thing. So either you want to deal with it and figure things out, but this never could figure it out. So when it's trying to figure out for many years and creating containers, as you're saying, that okay, I want to change it, but I don't know how, so I will create a container just a little bit, but my information in the mind still there. As we said in the example of sending the email, the information is still there. Is still with the awareness of the person that experienced the reality, that he remembers what's happened yesterday, he remembers the day before, and he keeps this information within himself. So what he can create with his mind not going to be much different. But if you practice the awareness of what is the reality is, and you want to stop it by not reacting to physical, you want to stop it from here, because then you don't have to deal with the physical, you don't have to deal with the questions that you need to go to the bank, because if you really clean everything and you already clean, you can see the new world, new earth on this earth. There's nothing needed to the bank. All of a sudden you will find ways and we have it in technology. These days you can do everything without going anywhere, but this is not available to you because you're resisting something.
Right.
Because everything is automating, everything is getting much easier. So if you think that you need something, you resisting.
Right. Okay. So, so it's much easier than what we think, right? And that's I think it's the beautiful part of it, because we're moving from, we've been, when I grew up, right, it's all about working hard, and there's goals, there's metrics we need to achieve, we need to create. It's all about working hard. And what we're saying is, no, just there's a lot of ease into it. There's a lot of ease into it. We're really saying, recognize that the thoughts that are coming up, just the thoughts of yesterday, they're just hiding the reality from you. If you keep acting based on the thoughts and the patterns that keep coming up, you keep fighting reality, and this higher power will, at one point, will probably slap you in the face. right? Because it's trying to show you something and you're just not listening. And hopefully you can do it before you leave this earth, right?
Yes.
So, and we're saying once you recognize it, once you have this gap, once you are not falling into this nonsense that keep coming up in your head every second, the second part is just stay there, right? When you're staying there and you're not as lost in your thoughts, as a result, your vibration is going to be higher because now you're not lost into this not good, yes, have to do, not have to do, and all this noise in our head. When your vibration is higher, just as a result of not being lost, if you just allow and be present, everything is going to be done for you in a way.
Yes. All the pendulums will stop swinging around you if you just allow it, and they will, and the new thoughts that will manifest because you changed the thoughts. You kind of you didn't change the thoughts, you changed the vibration so you can experience better thoughts. You change the receiver of your FM to higher frequency, higher FM point, and now better songs available to you. Better songs will create a better chemistry in the body, and the chemistry in the body will manifest to feelings and sensation. What will happen to most of the people that will start this route, they will recognize that the sensation in the body feels uncomfortable for the body, because all of a sudden you start experiencing better thoughts, better emotions, which creating a better feeling, but your body recognizes it as a new.
Right.
And at this point, it will feel uncomfortable, and the body will alert and say, we don't know what to do. So,
yeah.
so if we can help people to do it in a framework that it feels comfortable to practice it,
Yeah.
and then allow whatever happens in this framework happens without judgment and without thinking that it's an emergency. Just allow the body feel sensation that it never felt before. They will recognize that something magical coming, because as soon as you allow a new energy inside, this is the coding, the recoding that you received. You allowed it to happen.
Right.
And the coding is changing your body by the new energy. And this is what your body is saying, oh, I don't know what to do. It is kind of uncomfortable because it's creating new pathways in your body and your mind, and then new realities appear right in front of you just by letting this feeling, sensation to pass and recognize.
Right. Yeah.
And this is the technical part of the reality, how it really works, without believing into the stories. If you believe into the stories that the guy's always pointing me to say muddy, that this is my body, so muddy. So you look at the water through mud. Kind of, it's not true, but it's kind of a good example to use. So when you experiencing these updates that comes to you, and the mud is bad, and you're saying, oh my God, we don't know, and you accept, and let's say you draw a picture and say, oh, I am sick, I don't feel good, and you accept it, then you create sickness of it. You created sickness out of this energy.
Right.
So your mind really accept drawing the reality according to what it can accept.
Right.
And most of us, as soon as we feel this sensation, we push it away. We not let it pass. This created in our physical appearance, and then we push it even more because now it's even harder to deal with it. We're not letting it pass by and do the changes that it came to do within us, and that's all it's ever asking. It's asking for to recognize that you're done with it, get the update, allow yourself to make the changes in the body that not longer tied to thoughts and emotions and feelings that on the frequency that you move into, the vibration that you move into are not existing, and they separating from you, and you get in the update, your body frequency changes and you can see different reality in front of you. Let's remind the audience that Mana teaches that each one of us in his own reality. There's no, there's nobody beside you in your reality. There's only you. And
Yeah.
the easiest way to explain it is to bring the awareness that everything that you interpret, its interpretation by this physical body and mind that have special DNA, special history, special, unique. When I say special, I mean unique. Very unique ways of understanding everything: colors, shapes, situations, words. Because we can say, both of us can say the same word, but what we mean to the energy, it will be different. So for that, all this, if you combine the interpretation, everything you interpret it is uniquely by this DNA. So for that, anything that you see outside, it is you. It is the mirror of what's going on inside.
Yeah.
So for that, what you're really pushing in the outside is what you didn't have the chance to push for, to catch from the inside. So that's how you stop the pendulums. You want to go to the root and not change it from the outside, because the outside, you see Mother Earth, you see sky, you see wind, you have other people. How can you control all that? Not possible.
Yeah.
So if you go back to the inside yourself and change it and not let it manifest again and again, that's how it helps to build a bridge of how reality works, for in a simple way.
Right. Right. There's a lot to unpack here. No, that's amazing. I think one big thing that kind of I mean, there's many things, but one of the things is that we're asking from validation from other people, right? One is to give ourselves the space and the time to go through the changes, right? As we described, we want to allow for new things to come up in our body, in our mind, not fight with it, allow it to go through the process that it needs to take place, right? To really sit in our bodies. At that time, usually there is a fight of, some of the things that I hear is, no, it done, no way, it cannot be that easy, right? So we're so conditioned to think that things have to be hard and it have to be a war between me and reality for making changes. And now we're switching it to the inner game. So it's very, very important to give ourselves the space to go through it. The second part is the validation from other people, right? And it comes up as, do you see I'm changing? Do you recognize how I'm not the same person? Do you see that, right? And we're too dependent on what other people think. And now you just clearly said, listen, you live in your own reality in a way. I know that you see another person. I know that you recognize other people around you, but we are translating and seeing things through our own eyes, through our own past experience and current experience. So even if you ask other people, did I change? Right? And you're really wanting them to give you some good words or something, but in their reality right now, they're going through something completely different. They can be depressed, they can be busy with their marriage or whatever, and they can be, I don't see anything. Oh, I don't believe in this thing that you're doing. It's a waste of time. Remember that this is their experience. This is not our experience, right? And that's what I see as a big thing when people go through this reality, right? The second part that comes up a lot, and this is the difficulties, and I think it came up in the other podcast we did a few days ago from one of the guys, is what? So life should be that easy? That's it? There's no into it, right? And I think it's only difficult because we are so conditioned to think differently. Right? If somebody taught us that, everything that we cover at school at a young age, it wouldn't be something that it's so difficult, because everything that we're describing, it's really much easier than what people do today. So the only reason that it's very hard for people to make that switch is because we're so conditioned to things in a different way. that I measure myself as a human being based on how much money I make, the wife, the kids, the car, the thing. We measure this amazing thing based on his ability to collect material things in a way, or I have a PhD, or on and on and on, right? And this is where, I mean, in my experience, it's, I feel like everything is upside down,
Yes.
right? Instead of nurturing ourselves, instead of giving ourselves that space to go through this transformation, it's not even to go through the transformation, it's to allow it to happen.
To realize that you're already there too.
Yeah, that's the second part. I'm not even getting to that in this conversation. I think I'm going to keep it for the same conversation,
Yeah.
right? Because now because once you get, that's the funny part, right? It's already there. There's nothing really for us to do. It's just we're fighting it all the time.
Because also you talked about hard, right? Life being hard, or effort. Where's the hardness belief came from? Like if you look at the history of your personal experience of life, where's hardness came from? From observation? From whose observation?
Yeah.
The we give an example of the bee and the fly, that they don't feel hardness to, or challenges of what should they do. They just be. So the fly will eat from the bacteria of garbage and poop, and the bee would eat from flower, and they both exist and they're both happy. So if I don't understand that they are happy by just being, and I'm looking at them, I might judge and say, oh, the fly is doing much harder job, right? So in the humanity, we experiencing we're aware of other information in our realities, and we say, oh, we see this person working really hard, and so we say, we see somebody doing something we don't understand, and we say, oh, he's working really hard, and then you see somebody working really hard, and then your mind saying, oh, it must be hard. But another way of looking at it is see somebody working hard and understand that if he actually follows his joy, he's doing what he's doing. He's just being. So he's the fly that I'm judging right now. But the mind created, no, he's not being, he's hard because it's somewhere in the DNA. So it's somewhere within us. And as soon as we change that, then we can see, oh my God, everybody's just being themselves. Yes, people do not know how to control reality, but at the end of the day, the best way to be, the only way to be, is to be what you are. There is nothing, hardness is not exist really. Hardness is our interpretation of people choosing
Yeah.
to live life in certain resistant level.
Absolutely. And that's I think is a great way to explain where what I call the emotional DNA, right? I think the way you just touch it is perfect, right? Where did you get the idea of life is hard, or life is easy, or relationship is great, intimacy is good, intimacy is bad, right? Most of us, in my case as well, right? I wasn't even aware where I got all these ideas about life, right? I had a certain knowing about life, this identity, that story that I built, that is in a complete vacuum. I just basically took things as a kid that I translate for myself, or I didn't even translate, I just took it in based on my environment, parents' behavior, brothers, friends, my environment in a young age. And that really built my emotional DNA, the way I see the world, right? So the world is a hard place. You have to make money. This is when you need to get married. You have to bring these kids, and this is what you have to do. That's right. It's hard coded in me. And that's what I call the emotional DNA.
Yeah.
And then the thought patterns as really are coming up from this emotional DNA that I didn't even choose consciously to take in.
Consciously not, but you planned it, and it's got a purpose.
Yeah. we'll keep it at this level for this conversation, so it's easier to recognize the emotional DNA part.
Yes.
When we're saying that there is the emotional DNA that I took on unconsciously at this age, right? We'll leave the second part of the story for now.
Mm-hmm.
And then my thought patterns that comes up from this emotional DNA, from the pattern, and then the thought that I'm experiencing that covering my reality.
Yes.
So the thought and the thought patterns that I keep, this is my life experience. I'm going through life, living my thoughts and thought patterns and my emotions, sensation that I didn't even consciously put there from some degree.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And the reason I make it the reason that I want to keep it that clear is we always live in our past if we are not aware of it.
Yes.
Right? And I know that people use the word karma, is the playing of this cycle that keep happening in our life in a way that we keep experiencing the same thing. And what we're offering people is saying, okay, just step out of it for a second and see that it's a happening by itself. And it's just action that being taken every second based on your knowing or your identity that you developed, the story that was created many, many years ago, but it still operates every day. And through that story, not recognizing it, we're trying to make changes to our life. It's almost impossible.
It's not possible. It's not possible because the mind never created something new.
Right. So you keep repeating the same thing again and again and again, right? What I'm hoping to do now, the reason I'm repeating on it, because if people recognize this craziness, that if I just stay there and I just pay attention, I don't need to do anything special. I don't need to work hard. I don't need to take more action. I just need to learn how to pay attention to what comes up in my awareness.
Mm-hmm.
That is really most of the work.
That's all. Because you quoted by the pendulum mind swings from before, but in reality you stop the chain of creating the same reality.
Yeah.
By recognizing it and admitting, kind of, remember we said there is two steps of the thoughts, one your awareness and one that you swallowing it and buying into it, doing a reality with it. So by watching your thought and not judging it and not getting in touch with the thought, your natural preference towards it will be born, and that's all it needed. That's all your part to do. The rest, what's come usually, is that we, instead of leaving the focus and losing the focus, we think that we need to do something from this point, and then we start judging ourselves and say, oh my God, I prefer something else, but why I'm thinking that? And then the focus grows, and this is how the reality works. So what you really helping me to narrow down is that at this point of your awareness, of your preference point, or of your awareness of something, there's nothing else where you need it. You just be, you just fly, or you just turn. At this point, you become a butterfly that see what you want to shift to, which reality you want to shift to, and you change, and your DNA will change, your adjustment will automatically change, and then you will be transformed to different reality.
That's it.
That's it. There's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that kind of, my big insight was that it's only hard because we are so conditioned to see it in a different way. We're so conditioned to, even when it starts in school or even with our parents, where they're talking to us like, you are this, you are good at that, that's what you're supposed to bring in, you're supposed to get, like, we always being measured in a very external way. So we are very external focused. And what we're offering today people is turn around for a second, right? Go in for a second. Instead of blaming your, it's the taxes, is my employees, is my boyfriend, is that, we're saying, no, it's all this thing that you experience are really here to serve you. It's we'll call it the higher power is trying to point and tell you, whoa, okay, there's a pattern here. For me to walk through you and bring and give birth to new things, you have to let go. And this letting go is what is the hardest thing for us, right? Because this is where we feel safe. This is our confidence, in a way, built on what we feel comfortable with. So if part of my identity, I'm a person that work hard and I'm responsible, and this is why I'm going to wake up every morning and fight reality, that is a very hard coded in my identity. I don't know how to exist without it. Right?
You got used to same chemical balance, same sensation, same action. So, and your body job is really to keep the status quo.
Yeah.
As soon as we understand it, and we're okay to keep the status quo if the reality that you're experiencing it's great and you want to enjoy it more and spend time, so you keep the same information, keep the same pattern of thoughts, so the reality will slow down, the changes will slow down in the same way they're slowing down in the way that we stuck in the reality that we don't want to be. But yes, you're absolutely right. Like it's if we want to change, if we want to change something, is to let go of all patterns of the way we thinking, the way we're doing.
Yeah.
And realizing that it's not us, it's just identifying ourselves with the mind is the biggest point of because we think that we are it and we need to solve something, but the mind never solves something, because the mind's job is to try to solve something.
Right.
It's like
yeah,
it's like the hand. You can stop grabbing, yeah, but this is the hand job. But we never meant to identify ourselves with the hand. Is your fingers type stories, the hand doesn't come and say, oh my God, you can't believe how many stories did I type today. Because it's just the tool that we're using. So in the same way that the mind is working, it's a tool for us to use, to recognize and move aside, because it's not the one that's creating the reality. Everything around you arranging accordingly, and your body get adjustment to see the reality that you shift into.
Yes, and yes. That's great. It's remind me, I saw a short video a while ago how they're catching monkeys, I think in the Sahara or one of the jungles, and they're putting food in this jar or something, and the monkey have enough room to put his hand through it, but once he grabbed the food, he cannot pull his hands out, right? And you see the monkeys there putting their hands in, holding the food, and then acting like they cannot run away, somebody coming and capturing them. So it's in a way, it's the same thing, right?
Yes.
Prisoner, we are prisoner only to the things that we are holding to, right? We're not that different from the monkey that hold the food, that trying to get to escape. If we just let go, something new will give birth to.
Yeah.
That's really how, I know.
That's how reality really works. And in a simple way, if we want to break it down to really simplicity, to explain the reality is really the question that I usually ask when we start a session: what would you like to change in your reality? So this question really pointing out at where you want to, what reality you want to experience.
Yeah.
And then you ask, so why you're not there yet? It's the question to the mind to see what is why is it not accepting to see this reality? Yeah. And if you walk on all these boundaries that the mind tells you, you kind of saw them one by one by sitting down, like Buddha did. The reality in front of you will change, and I actually practice it myself. That's how it works. You sit down. There are actions, but the actions are made as a bee and a fly doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Now you walking with the flow and not trying to push something. You sit with it and you step by step saying, okay, I want to be a millionaire. Okay, why you're not a millionaire? Because money is better. And you slowly just recode it by yourself, by sitting and observing it and sending it to the collective, and making the mind step away and not create this again and again and again. The practice, the training of it will change the reality outside of you. That's the only way that the reality outside of you can change, by changing your pattern.
That's amazing. Listen, I think we covered a lot. I definitely see an opportunity to make another video to go to the second part of our conversation. That will be a lot of fun as well. Anything else you want to share before we ending? I'm going to add the links to your Instagram. I don't need to ask you. I got everything. Instagram, Mana Training, all that is going to be part of the video. But there's anything else you want to leave as kind of the last message note?
Enjoy your realities. Commit to the experience of the reality, because it's really what it is. It's how you experience it determine your reality. If you enjoy it, it means the reality that you experience, you allow it to happen. If you're not enjoying it, it means you're resisting something, and it means that there's a reality that already created waiting for you, and just your mind is waiting to get the new updates and new adjustment for you to see it. That's so simple.
Yes, beautifully said, Miki. Again, thank you very much. This was awesome. Yes, I enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
Okay.